Hi, everybody. Happy Monday. Thanks so much for joining me for another episode of our Mindset Monday series. We've started this several months ago, sharing all different challenges and tools and specifically mindsets that hold CPA candidates back from success on the exam. Now, one of my favorite things about these topics that we have tackled so far and I've mentioned this in several of our previous videos, is that while we talk about it through the context of the CPA exam, things that are holding you back in that area of your life, one of the coolest things about this is that those same mindsets, those same limiting beliefs or negative thoughts that run through your mind, they're holding you back and causing a challenge in other aspects of your life also. So I've encouraged you in the past to maybe be thinking about specifically your CPA exam journey while watching this video, but also to take a step back and look at where else are these mindsets showing up or holding me back, maybe at work, maybe in my personal relationships, etc. So we are talking specifically about the CPA exam in these videos generally, but my intention is that you're able to take this information and apply it in other areas. So for the next couple of weeks specifically, just given our time of year, it's the middle of tax season. Many of you may have even taken a step back from studying for the exam to focus on tax and audit busy season. Maybe you're just busy with year end at your job. And there's also some people who are pursuing the exam through this time of year. Who don't have such cyclical natures of their job. So for the next couple of weeks, I'm focusing on topics that are applicable not only to the CPA exam, of course, but also challenges that are faced by those of you who are professionals who are navigating some busy or challenging times at work. So that's going to be our focus. And today we're going to be talking about relationships. Now, that doesn't have to be romantic relationships. We can be talking about relationships with your family and friends, maybe a romantic partner, really anyone in your life that you have relationships with normally. And oftentimes, when you take on the CPA exam or when you find yourself in a busy time of year with work, it's really easy to let those relationships sort of fade off in the distance. It almost became, when I was working, it became like an inside joke, or not so much of an inside joke, really just an ongoing commentary that we'd have about, okay, tell your friends you'll see them in April after busy season. Almost like there wasn't enough time to have both strong relationships and to be successful, in this case, with juggling busy season hours and the demands of those deadlines. So sometimes that seems easier to just cut those people off, cut that out of your life. But I see it all the time, and I know from my experience that that does not work for everybody. For many people, especially if you're an extrovert, things like spending time with family and friends, going to the gym or getting a workout in, meditating, reading, any sort of personal care activities, all of that is really critical to recharging your batteries. Of course, our focus today is going to be on the relationship aspect of that, but if you're the type of person that typically cuts those relationships out when things get busy or stressful, whether the exam or during tax season, you may also have a tendency to cut those things out as well. Now, here's why that doesn't work. When we cut all of those out, we just focus on the task at hand, just pushing through, getting one more hour of work in or one more hour of studying in. When the reality is your batteries are depleted, your energy level is depleted. You're not in the optimal state to go and be as productive or effective as you can be. So while it seems counterintuitive when the work is piling up or you've got a ton of studying to catch up on or your test date is approaching, it seems counterintuitive to take an hour for yourself every day to go and do some exercise or connect with someone, whether it's in person or via FaceTime. It seems like that's not a valuable use of your time, but the reality is taking that hour out of your day to do that, to do something that recharges you so you can come back stronger actually has you able to do just that. Have more productive hours going forward than you would if you didn't take that time. So that's one of the reasons that relationships and are really important for a lot of people who are studying for the exam or who are navigating busy season, because they refuel us. As an introvert, you may not experience it that way. Relationships often take a lot more energy to keep going. It may not be one of the things that really charges you up, but there are other benefits to keeping these relationships going. Well, first of all, going through any sort of challenge, whether it's busy season or the CPA exam, feeling alone in this process, feeling like you don't have anyone to turn to go and blow off steam, or maybe just to talk about something else, that feeling of being alone and not having someone to talk to makes it so much worse. Any stress or pressure that you might be under, I just can't imagine feeling like I'd have to face that alone. So feeling alone is going to make this process even more challenging than it has to be. Secondly, having the support and those people behind you can actually make this process more fun and provide encouragement along the way to help you keep going. So whether it is that extra sort of cheerleading that you need, whether it is a little bit of a push, maybe some accountability that you could get from those friends and family, or like I said, maybe it's just someone to talk to about something completely unrelated to get your mind off of things. All of those are really critical to your being able to sustain, whether that's this long-term process of studying for the exam or to be able to sustain yourself and sustain your energy throughout busy season. The alternative is often burning out, just getting completely exhausted, coming out looking like a shell of yourself at the end of this. And not only are you exhausted and burned out from work, but now you have to go and rebuild all those relationships that you've neglected over the last several months. So, like I said, this approach of sort of cutting people off, neglecting those relationships, focusing only on work or only on studying and working really doesn't work for a lot of people. It certainly didn't work for me. What I want to actually pause though and have you ask yourself is what you get out of this approach. Now, as human beings, we don't do anything without getting some sort of a benefit or a payoff. So there's a lot of mindset that goes into, or there's a mindset that is driving your decision to step back from those relationships. Or in the case of the CPA exam, maybe you're not stepping back from the relationship so much as you are not telling anyone that you're pursuing the exam, especially if you're doing this again after maybe attempting it in the past and having failed and feel like you let people down before. Maybe you've made the decision that you're just not going to tell anyone this time. You're going to go at it alone. That way, you're not letting anyone down. You're not disappointing anyone in the process. Maybe it allows you to not have to face the extra pressure or face that uncomfortable conversation of, people coming to you and saying, hey, did you pass? I know you're studying for the exam. Did you pass it? And having to say, well, actually, no, I failed. It may be giving you the opportunity or allowing you to avoid having those types of conversations. And instead, just by not telling anyone, we don't even have to go there, right? I don't have to face it. I don't have to deal with any of that. From a social perspective, this might be getting you off the hook or allowing you to avoid having to say no to invitations or having to set boundaries with friends and family. Instead of repeatedly having to say no or renegotiate or make requests of your friends and family, maybe it's easier for you, at least in this current mindset, to say, forget it. I just can't do anything. I'm not available between January and April, or I'm not available until I pass the CPA exam. So look at and ask yourself, what are you getting out of this? What is this approach, this current mindset of having to go at it alone, having to avoid these relationships for the next few months? What are you getting out of that? The other way to ask that is, what do you get to avoid? Is it those conversations? Is it setting boundaries? Do you get to avoid saying no and feeling guilty? What is that? Now, it's important that you understand that because, again, this may be showing up in other areas of your life. I'm going to give you some things that I think are really helpful that can make it possible and have made it possible, not only for myself, but also for a lot of my clients, to successfully balance studying for the CPA exam, taking on busy season deadlines without sacrificing those key relationships, those people who are so important to them. And of course, their well being. It all falls into the same category. So it is, though, important for you to understand why you fell into this pattern in the first place or what drew you to this other approach. So let's talk about how you can make it work. There's a few key things. I think I have about 4 tips here, and I'd love to hear from you also. So please drop in the comments if there's other things that have worked for you to successfully balance and juggle these things. But one of the first things that I find is super important in making this work is to set clear boundaries and expectations. A lot of times my clients will come to me and they'll say, you know what, Erin, one of the best parts about working with you and having a coach through the CPA exam process is that I can talk to you and you understand. None of my friends or family understands what this process is all about. I hear that a lot. And so partially that is on you to help them understand a bit more about what you're going through. It's different from college. It's different from, what many people experience in life, especially if they're in a different line of work or just haven't, maybe they're not even at this stage in life yet. Maybe we're talking about younger siblings or friends who just haven't pursued this process yet. So you want to educate them a little bit, give them some insight as to what this process is like for you. And then we need to set clear boundaries. So that may mean not being really setting the expectation that you may not be available during the weekdays, for instance, or you may have to choose between some events and attending some events and maybe not attending others. You may not be as available as you are in the summertime when work is a little bit calmer, or during times when you're not actively studying for the exam. But to be clear, that doesn't mean that you have to shut it all down. One thing I suggest doing is to have a schedule. Be very clear about what your schedule is and schedule in days off for yourself. I always recommend having 1 day off a week if your schedule allows it, to have that time, take a break from studying, just like if you were running a marathon. You wouldn't run every single day. Your muscles need a chance to recover and to rest. Similarly, your brain needs a minute to recover and absorb everything that you've learned throughout the week. And that day off is an opportunity for you to connect, for you to do those things that recharge your batteries so that you can come back stronger the next day. So that may be something that you can sort of let your friends and family know is, I'm off on Friday nights. Let's plan to get together or FaceTime or have plans together on Friday night. You can also make plans on weekend days, really whenever. It's just a matter of you having the dedication to get your studying done, get whatever you need to have completed before allowing yourself that time to go and socialize with friends and family. It's just about setting the boundaries that really work for you. So clear boundaries and expectations, communicating what those expectations are, what the exam is sort of expecting or demanding of you so that they understand what you're going through. And then setting the expectations and the boundaries that, here are the times I'm available and these are some times that I'm not available. That brings me to the second piece, which is be clear about what kind of support you need. So if you've got those types of friends and family who just want to hang out with you, they just love and adore you, but what that turns into is peer pressure to hang out or peer pressure to come to the family dinner on a random Tuesday night, and you're like, I'm working, I'm studying, I can't come to dinner. You may just want to make some requests of them. If that occurs to you as peer pressure, just let them know, look, I really want to hang out with you, but I've also made this commitment to the CPA exam. I've also made this commitment to busy season, and I'm not available during those times. And when you pressure me, I feel really bad about not being able to say yes, or I feel tempted to come and hang out with you, but that throws me off of my progress. So what you could really do to support me is if I say I'm not available, just know that it's not that I don't want to hang out with you. It's just that I have to pursue this. And let them know what they can count on from you. Maybe instead of that day, you propose, let's get together on Friday, or let's get together on Saturday afternoon after I study. Propose something that does work for you so that they don't feel like you're constantly turning them down. So, setting those boundaries and expectations, having a clear schedule that you can count on, that's especially important for a partner or a spouse as well. They're there in the background supporting you in pursuing this goal. They may or may not understand what really goes into the process, or why it's so important, why it takes up so many hours of your time. But one way that you can make them feel really special and loved and cared for and not neglected in this process is by carving out and dedicating some time to them. If I knew as a spouse of a CPA candidate that Friday nights were date night and that was not going to change no matter what, that was my time with my partner and my spouse, then I probably wouldn't bother them throughout the week, right? I would know that's my time. So again, it's really about getting ahead of it, talking to your friends, your family, and trying to come to a mutual understanding of what will work for you and allow you to continue to pursue this goal or busy season, whatever it is, and that will also make them feel not neglected in the process. We talked about also being clear what type of support you need. So if those invites, if those requests to come and hang out are not helping you, make a request that they do that differently, or give a suggested alternative. But you can also talk to your colleagues, talk to your friends about what type of support you need when you reach out to them on those days when you are ready to hang out. Maybe you don't want to talk about the exam at all. Maybe you don't want to talk about work at all. We want to make this a work and CPA exam free zone on the weekends. That's an example of making a request for what type of support. Maybe you just want to order pizza and watch a movie and not talk at all. Maybe you just need quiet time to be with your friend or be with your spouse. Just be very clear and make those requests about what would really work for you during this busy and demanding time. Finally, actually, I was going to say this really applies mostly to the CPA exam, but I'm going to throw that out the window. I think this last tip applies to busy season too. But consider those key people in your life, your spouse, your partner, your best friend, your parents, any of those people that really support you. They're behind you 100%, whether you're pursuing the tax deadline or you're pursuing the CPA exam. And one of my favorite tips for the CPA exam that I think applies to this too is to come up with some sort of a co-reward. So I often talk to my clients about setting a reward for themselves for when they pass this next section of the exam. So that's a great tool to keep yourself motivated and moving forward, especially on those days when you just don't freaking feel like studying. Then you think, oh, but I get to go on this nice vacation, or I get to buy myself that thing I've wanted, or get myself this experience I've had my eye on. That's a really good motivator for you. And one of the ways that we can incorporate your friends or family or spouse into this is to come up with something that you can enjoy together. So whether that is setting a vacation or an experience that you can do together once this exam is over or once busy season is over, maybe it's a vacation or something like that. That way, they are rewarded for their hard work in supporting you and putting up with your long hours of studying and you not being around, maybe you not helping out with the kids as much as you normally would. So they're taking on a lot of the load oftentimes that you may otherwise share. So they've earned it, first of all, and then they've got something in it for them as well, to continue to support you, to hold you accountable, to comply with your requests, to not invite you or not peer pressure you to do things. It's just another fun way to get them involved in the process. They can then see something in it for them. They see the light at the end of the tunnel. They want to support you in pursuing and being successful with this goal. Again, whether it's busy season, which obviously is challenging, or with the CPA exam. So consider that. How can you co-reward yourself, whether it's you and your partner, you and your bestie, you and your parents, something that you can do together to celebrate when all of this is over. But just continue to make those requests, continue to set the boundaries. You may even have to reset them at times. So just be mindful of that too. You may have made this clear to your friends and family, say last busy season. Believe me, they forgot. They don't remember exactly what it's like for you. In fact, they don't know what it's like for you to be working crazy hours. They need to be reminded what support looks like for you and how they can best be there for you during this time. So make sure to remind them, make sure to hold them to it. Ultimately, at the end of the day, these people love you. They adore you. They're your friend. They're your family. They want to be with you. And they want to support you in something that you've said is really important for your career and for your life. And allow them to do that. And don't be shy about asking for it to look a certain way so that it's actually perceived by you as supportive. So I hope you liked our topic for today. I hope this is helpful. Again, please share in the comments or in my DMs. That's fine too. I'd love to hear what else you've done that has worked for you to balance relationships during busy season or during while you're pursuing the CPA exam. If you like this video and you're watching on YouTube, make sure you subscribe. And I will see you back here next Monday, same time, 2 o'clock Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern time, with a brand new topic. I hope you have a great rest of your week. Bye.